Hello, my dear ones. Thank you for coming to sit with me for a little while. You know, there's a peace that comes in the quiet moments, the way the morning light hits the kitchen table, the sound of the kettle whistling. For most of my life, I lived for those simple moments. I built my whole world around them. My name is Carol. I'm 68 years old, and for 42 of those years, I was a nurse. I held the hands of the sick and the dying. I comforted families. I learned how to be strong for everyone else. I thought that strength was unbreakable. But let me tell you something I learned the hard way. The biggest storms in your life don't always come from outside. Sometimes the storm comes from the one person you thought was your safe harbor, the one person you'd trust with your very life. For me, that person was my son, Michael. And this is the story of how he emptied my entire life savings and ran off on a vacation with his wife and mother-in-law, and how this old woman found a strength she never knew she had. Before I begin, if you have ever trusted someone completely, if you have ever loved someone more than yourself, then this story is for you. If you stay with me until the end, I promise you, you will see that no matter how dark it gets, the sun will rise again. So please, if you feel moved by my story, consider subscribing to this channel. It would mean the world to have you here as part of this community where we share our truths and heal together. Now, let me take you back to the beginning. I had Michael when I was 25. His father, my Robert, God rest his soul, passed away from a heart attack when Michael was only 10. So it was just the two of us against the world. I worked double shifts at the hospital to put clothes on his back and food on the table. I sacrificed vacations, new cars, even new glasses for myself so he could have the best. He was a good boy, a mama's boy, everyone said. He'd help me with the groceries, fix things around the house when he got older. When he met Sarah in college, I was so happy for him. She was bright, came from a nice family. Her mother, Brenda was always a little showy. Lots of designer bags, always talking about their vacations. But I thought, as long as Michael is happy, I'm happy. The wedding was beautiful. I dipped into my savings to help pay for it, of course. What mother wouldn't? After he got married, we stayed close. He'd come over every Sunday for dinner. He was my only family, my entire world. Then, about 6 months ago, I had a minor knee surgery, just a torn meniscus from all those years running around the hospital floors. It was nothing serious, but it made simple things difficult. Getting to the bank, lifting groceries. Michael, my sweet boy, he insisted on helping. Mom, he said, sitting right here at this table, let me help you. Give me your bank card. I'll do your grocery shopping, pay your bills online. You shouldn't be stressing about this. I hesitated. It was my life savings in that account. Not a fortune, but enough for me to live on comfortably for the rest of my days, enough to cover any medical emergencies. It was my security, my peace of mind. Mom, it's me, he said, with that smile that could melt my heart. You can trust me. And of course I believed him. He was my son. So I gave him the card and the online banking password. I felt a little twinge of fear, but I pushed it down. What kind of mother doesn't trust her own son? For a few months, everything was fine. He'd bring the groceries, show me the receipts. He was so good about it. I felt so blessed. I'd tell my friends at the senior center, my Michael, he's such a good boy. He takes such good care of me. Oh, how foolish I felt later. The trouble started subtly. He began talking about Sarah's mother, Brenda, how she was always going on about this fabulous resort in Bali, how it was her dream to go. Must be nice, I'd say, stirring my soup. Maybe one day you and Sarah can save up and go. He'd get a strange look in his eye. Yeah, maybe. Then, about a week before it all happened, he came over and he was different, agitated. He kept looking at his phone. He asked me, "Mom, you're doing okay, right? The account is healthy." "It's fine, honey," I said. "It's my rainy day fund. It's not for pouring down the drain." I laughed. He didn't. Right, of course. He kissed my forehead before he left, but it felt quick, distant. That was the last time I saw my son before my world fell apart. It was a Tuesday morning. I remember because Tuesday is when I get my hair done. I was feeling good. My knee was better. I was thinking of taking back my bank card, telling Michael I could handle things myself again. I went to the local cafe to get a scone before my appointment. I swiped my debit card. I felt a flush of embarrassment. "I'm so sorry," I said to the cashier. "There must be a mistake." I used my credit card instead. Strange, I thought. I knew there was plenty of money in there. I decided to check my balance at the ATM, right there on the street. I slid my card in. My heart was beating a little fast. I typed in my PIN. The screen flickered, and my blood ran cold. Available balance, $187.43. $187.43. I stared at it. I actually took off my glasses, cleaned them, and put them back on. I must be reading it wrong. This was my checking account, but it was linked to my savings. I quickly navigated to the savings account. Available balance, $0.02. A wave of dizziness hit me so hard I had to lean against the machine, my vision blurred. $98,755. Gone. All of it. Every penny I had saved since I was 20 years old. My retirement. The money Robert left me. The money for my funeral. Gone. My first thought was, I've been hacked. Panic. Pure, icy panic. I fumbled with my phone, my fingers shaking so badly I could barely dial. I called the bank. I was put on hold. The muzak felt like torture. Finally, a woman came on the line. "Yes, ma'am, I see the activity. There was a series of large wire transfers over the past 3 days. The last one was completed this morning at 9:05 a.m. Transfers? To where?" My voice was a whisper. "Let's see. The beneficiary is listed as Michael Evans." The phone slipped from my hand and clattered onto the pavement. I couldn't breathe. It felt like my chest was in a vice. Michael. My Michael. This wasn't a hack. This was a betrayal. I scooped up the phone, my hands trembling uncontrollably. I called his number. It went straight to voicemail. "You've reached Michael. Leave a message." His cheerful voice felt like a slap. I called again. And again. Voicemail. Voicemail. I called Sarah's phone. Straight to voicemail. A cold, sick feeling started to grow in the pit of my stomach. I left the ATM, my legs weak. I got in my car and drove to his house. I didn't even know what I was going to say. I was running on pure fear. His house was quiet. The blinds were drawn. I rang the doorbell. Nothing. I knocked. No answer. I peered through the front window. The living room was empty. Not just of people, but of things. The big TV was gone. The game console, it looked barren. My heart was pounding in my ears. Where were they? Had something happened to them? Were they in trouble? Was that why he took the money? Maybe he was being threatened. I called his friend Mark. Mark, it's Carol, Michael's mom. I'm so worried. I can't reach him and there's a problem with some money. There was a long pause on the other end. Carol? I think they're okay. I saw something online. Online? What? Mark, please. Just check Brenda's Facebook. Sarah's mom. He sounded uncomfortable. I gotta go. He hung up. I've never been much for social media, but I had a Facebook account to see pictures of my old friend's grandchildren. My hands were shaking so hard it took me 3 tries to type in Brenda Miller. Her profile popped up. It was public. And there, at the top, was the most recent post. It was a photograph. A beautiful, sun-drenched beach with turquoise water, palm trees, and in the center, 3 people with their arms around each other, smiling the biggest, most carefree smiles I had ever seen. My son, Michael, his wife, Sarah, and her mother, Brenda. They were wearing resort wear, holding colorful drinks with little umbrellas. And the caption? The caption is what shattered what was left of my heart. Brenda had written, "Living the dream, my amazing son-in-law Michael surprised us with his incredible trip to Bali. He said we deserved it. So grateful for this generous man." I read it once, then again, and a third time. The words blurred through my tears. He surprised us. Generous man? My money. He used my life's savings, my security, my peace of mind to surprise his wife and mother-in-law with a dream vacation. I sank to my knees right there on my living room carpet, the phone falling from my hand. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just knelt there, the silence in the house pressing in on me, so heavy I could barely breathe. The trust, the love, the decades of sacrifice, it all evaporated in that single moment, leaving behind a hollow, aching void. He wasn't in trouble. He wasn't being blackmailed. He was on a beach, sipping a cocktail, while I was left with 2 cents and a broken heart. I don't know how long I stayed on the floor. It could have been minutes. It could have been an hour. But eventually, the numbness began to recede, and something else started to take its place. It wasn't anger, not at first. It was a cold, clear, sharp resolve. I am a nurse. When a patient is crashing, you don't fall apart. You assess the situation, you make a plan, you take action. And I was crashing. I stood up. My knees ached, but my mind was clearer than it had been in years. I picked up my phone. I called the bank back. This time, my voice didn't shake. "My name is Carol Evans. We spoke earlier. The wire transfers to Michael Evans were fraudulent. He was an authorized user on my account for bill payments, not for wire transfers of my entire savings. I am reporting this as theft. I want to freeze the account and start a fraud investigation immediately." I was firm. I was direct. The woman on the line was very helpful this time. She guided me through the process. She told me I would need to file a police report. A police report against my own son. The words made me feel sick, but I knew it was necessary. This wasn't about revenge yet. This was about survival. I drove to the police station. Sitting in that hard plastic chair, telling a uniformed officer that my son had stolen from me was one of the most humiliating experiences of my life. He was kind, but his pity was a knife in my soul. I filed the report. I had the paperwork in my hand. It felt heavy with the weight of my broken heart. I went back home. The house was so quiet, so empty. I looked around. All my life, I had defined myself as Michael's mother. And now, who was I? I knew I couldn't just sit and wait for the bank or the police. I needed to do something. I needed to reclaim my power. And that's when I thought about his house, the empty living room. And I remembered his sneakers. Michael had a passion, an obsession for expensive, collectible sneakers. He had a whole closet full of them, some still in their original boxes, never worn. He'd talk about them for hours. Limited editions, collaborations, how some were worth thousands of dollars. He and Sarah also had a collection of designer handbags and watches. They spent their money on appearances. I still had a key to their house. I'd water their plants when they were away. The irony was bitter on my tongue. A plan began to form in my mind. It wasn't a loud, dramatic plan. It was a quiet one. A mother's plan. The next day, I drove to their house. My hand was steady as I slid the key into the lock. The house was silent. I walked into their bedroom. I opened the closet door. And there they were, rows and rows of pristine sneakers in clear boxes. Air Jordans, Nikes, Yeezys, dozens of them. I opened Sarah's closet. Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Chanel bags. In his dresser, I found luxury watches and expensive electronics. I looked at it all. This was what my life's work had been turned into. Status symbols, trinkets. I went to my car and got the large, sturdy storage totes I'd brought. I didn't rush. I was methodical, like I was preparing a patient for surgery. I placed each pair of sneakers carefully into the totes. I wrapped each handbag in soft cloth. I packed the watches and the electronics. I didn't feel anger anymore. I felt a profound sadness, but beneath it, a steely determination. He had sold my security for a vacation. I would sell his treasures for my survival. It took me a few trips to load the car. When I was done, the closets were bare. The house was even emptier than before. I drove straight to a high-end consignment store in the next city over, a place I'd heard Michael and Sarah talk about. I walked in, an old woman with totes full of luxury goods. The young man behind the counter looked skeptical at first. Then he started looking through my items. His eyes widened. Ma'am, this is a Nike mag. Do you know what this is worth?" "I have an idea," I said calmly. He spent 2 hours authenticating and appraising everything. When he was done, he gave me a figure. It wasn't the full 98,000, of course, but it was a lot. It was enough. "We can consign these. It will take a few months to get you the full amount," he said. "I'll take a direct buyout right now for 70% of that value," I said. I needed the money now, not later. He hesitated, then agreed. Just like that, I walked out of that store with a bank draft for a life-changing amount of money. The weight of the betrayal was still there, but the weight of financial ruin was gone. On my way home, I passed a travel agency. I saw a picture in the window. A beautiful whitewashed building overlooking a deep blue sea. Santorini. Greece. I walked in. An hour later, I walked out with a first-class ticket to Athens and a reservation for a 3-week stay at a luxury wellness retreat, a place for healing, for peace. I went home, booked the trip online, and then I did something I hadn't done in years. I sat down and I relaxed. I had my money, I had my plan, and I had my peace. A few days later, I was packed and ready to go. I was leaving for the airport in the morning. My phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize, but I had a feeling. I answered. Hello? Mom! It was Michael. His voice was a frantic scream. He was back. Hello, Michael. My voice was calm, flat. Mom, what happened? The house, it's been robbed. Everything is gone. My sneakers, Sarah's bags, everything. We called the police, but they said there was a report. Mom, what did you do? I let him panic. I let him breathe heavily into the phone. When he finally paused, I spoke. The police report was for the $98,755 you stole from me, Michael. There was a dead silence on the other end. I I didn't steal it, Mom. I borrowed it. We were going to pay it back. Borrowed it, I said, my voice still quiet. You borrowed it without asking. You borrowed it every single penny I had while I was recovering from surgery. You borrowed it to go to Bali with Brenda. He was sputtering. It was an investment in family harmony. Brenda was driving Sarah crazy. This trip fixed everything. We needed this. You needed, I felt that cold steel in my voice again. You needed my retirement fund for your family harmony? Well, I needed my money for my survival, so I took matters into my own hands. What did you do? He yelled. I liquidated your assets, Michael. I assessed the situation, I made a plan, and I took action, just like you did. I sold your sneakers and Sarah's bags. I got quite a good price for them. The silence on the other end was profound. I could almost hear his brain short-circuiting. You, you sold them? He whispered, horrified. I did. And with the money, I bought myself a vacation. It seemed only fair. A, a vacation? Where? To where? He asked, his voice weak. I'm leaving for the airport in the morning, Michael. I'm going to a wellness retreat in Santorini. It looks beautiful. Very peaceful. The sound he made was a mix of a gasp and a sob. You're going on vacation? With my money? No, Michael, I said, my voice firm for the first time. Not your money, my money. The money I earned, the money you stole. I'm simply reallocating it for its intended purpose, my well-being. Mom, you can't do this. You have to give it back. Those were collector's items. You have to cancel the trip. We need that money. You taught me a very valuable lesson, son, I said, my heart aching but my resolve firm. You taught me that family is just a word, that trust can be broken in an instant. I used my money to buy my peace. You used my money to buy your karma. I suggest you deal with yours. Mom, please! I hung up the phone. I turned it off. I didn't need it where I was going. The next 3 weeks were transformative. Santorini was as beautiful as the pictures. But more than the views, it was the silence, the peace. I did yoga at sunrise. I ate healthy food. I meditated. I talked to other people, kind people, who had their own stories of pain and healing. For the first time in decades, I wasn't Carol the nurse or Carol the mother. I was just Carol. I was healing. Not just my broken heart, but my spirit. I was learning that my identity wasn't tied to my son, that I was a whole person, worthy of love and respect all by myself. I took pictures of the sunsets, of the white buildings and blue domes, of me smiling a real, genuine smile, my face turned toward the sun. I posted them online, not to gloat, but to document my rebirth. When I came home, I was a new woman. Lighter, stronger. The house didn't feel empty anymore. It felt like my sanctuary. There were a dozen frantic voicemails from Michael. The bank had reversed the wire transfers because of the police report, but he was now facing consequences for the attempted theft. His marriage was reportedly strained. Sarah was furious about her bags. Brenda wouldn't speak to him. He was begging for forgiveness. I listened to them all. Then I deleted them. He showed up at my door one day. He looked terrible. His eyes were red, his clothes rumpled. "Mom," he said, his voice cracking, "I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. It was like a madness. Brenda was always pressuring us. Sarah wanted to keep up. I felt we deserved it." I looked at him. My little boy. I still loved him. I think a part of me always will. But the blind, unconditional trust was gone. "I know you're sorry, Michael," I said, "but sorry doesn't give me back my sense of security. Sorry doesn't give me back the trust I had in you. That's gone. You broke it." Tears streamed down his face. Can we ever fix this?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "Maybe. In time. But it won't be the same. It can't be. You will have to earn back a sliver of trust, penny by penny. And it starts with you taking responsibility for what you did. All of it. With the bank, with the law, with yourself." He nodded, crying softly on my doorstep. I didn't invite him in. That was 6 months ago. We talk now, occasionally. It's stilted, careful. The relationship is forever scarred. But I have my peace. I have my home. I have the knowledge that I stood up for myself when no one else would. The storm my son brought didn't destroy me. It washed me clean. It showed me my own strength. So, my dear ones, that is my story. It's a story of betrayal, but more than that, it's a story of survival. It's a story of finding your strength when you have nothing left. If you are watching this and you are in a dark place, if you have been betrayed by someone you loved, please know this. You are stronger than you think. The sun will rise again. You have a right to your peace. You have a right to fight for yourself. Don't let anyone, not even your own child, make you feel like you are not enough. You are. You are worthy of respect, of love, and of peace. This channel, this community, is a place for stories like mine. Stories of truth, of pain, and of healing. If my story has touched you, if it has made you feel less alone, or given you a little bit of strength, then please, do me a kindness. Please, subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you are not just clicking a button. You are saying, "I see you, Carol. I hear your story." You are helping this community grow so others who are hurting can find their way here and find comfort. You are telling the world that our stories matter. And please, leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. Share your own story if you feel comfortable. Let's support each other. Let's be a family for those who have lost theirs. And if you believe in standing up for yourself, no matter how hard it is, then please like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Thank you for sitting with me. Thank you for listening. Remember, my dear ones, no matter how deep the betrayal, your peace is worth fighting for. Never, ever forget that. God bless you, and be strong.